they understand how to engage with different groups in terms of cabinet level, government level, community level. So that has really helped us a lot. Careful selection of a delivery partner, not one that just focus on their own work entity programs, but that will be in line with the country focus kind of initiative. So when we implement our projects, the country, so maybe like ministries or sectors that are leading, they'll be the one who will be in the lead in terms of implementation, not the delivery partner. Yes, we'll be working with the delivery partner, but the country takes the lead from the generation of ideas to development of concept notes and even to implementation stage. And another point that is very critical for us when it comes to the no objection, we don't really joke around that one. The NDA is very strict on that one. She doesn't just sign a no objection letter. We have to follow the criteria that has been set. There is the clear assessment tool that has been developed to assess you can't just submit a proposal to GCF if you don't already have a delivery partner, for instance. So you should have already engaged the delivery partner before the submission. So that is just maybe just to highlight some of the critical things that we look into. And lastly, most importantly, it's the coordination. Really stress on the coordination, strengthening the coordination amongst ourselves, starting with the engagement, a clear engagement of the country with GCF, and then coming into the implementation of the project. From design, the project is designed to have coordination mechanisms, whereby you'd have a project management unit, which consists of the key stakeholders and also the delivery partner for the day-to-day implementation of the project. We have a technical committee, which provides technical advice as the project is implemented. And then we have a steering committee, which consists of the high-level committee members from government ministries and also the delivery partner. And the NDA sits in the steering committee of every project. So when the project is being implemented, project plans, they're submitted to the steering committee for endorsement before implementation, and reports before they're submitted to GCF, they have to be endorsed by that committee of which the NDA is part of. So she's part of all the processes from project design, implementation, and up to the end of the project. Let me just end here. Thank you so much. These are just the key points that I can share. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame. Thank you for your presentation. Pourquoi vous êtes champion? J'ai piloté 6.
You understand why you are champion in this? It is very simple, but they need a serious organization, the understanding of what is the GCF. After that, the expression of the needs, the strategic choice of partners, delivery partners, and the choice of the leader for the implementation. And after that, all the procedures that have been aligned regarding the signature of the letter of non-objection and the coordination of all of the different points. So we understand how this academy has been done, which has favored the mobilization of readiness. If I want to address the GRC, through the example of our colleague, we understand that we need a very beautiful, nice organization with a good strategy. At the level of your country, can you give an example of readiness, from readiness to the conceptual notes, and what are the different levels? How do you use the alchemy in this level, the magic in this level, so that harmony, so that you can raise money funds at the level of the JCF? Thank you, Professor Isaac. I'm Professor Isaac from GRC. So I think that at the beginning, we benefited from the readiness for the capacity building of the NGOs. That was the first point, where we have been able to integrate many stakeholders. But contrary to Eswatini and other countries, most of the preparing program was not from the NGAs. When I came to the NGA, the first bad experience that I had was that I was not installed, but they brought me to sign a letter of non-objection before even I should know what it is all about. So there's an emergency, so they brought me somewhere to sign the non-objection in Congo, Kinshasa. So up to now, I don't know what happened to that project and that concept notes, and it has gone like that. So that is the first experience that I had, but we benefited or developed with partners up to 11 readiness. Among the partners, accredited entity, you have the UNIDO, ONIDZI, you have the ONIDZI, okay, and the UNGP. There is the case of some countries also here. I'll mention here a readiness that is working very well. Is that with One Life WCS. The first readiness was adopted in 2021, November 2, 2021. And at the time we're speaking, we are at the level of F2. And the readiness was adopted in November 2024, last month. Okay. November 31st, 2024. I want to remind you that we have an entity that we positioned to have a direct access. That's the national board, and we are going to talk about that later on. I think we are interested in that. With that, how have you been able from this readiness to position direct access? Because there are some participants who have difficulties to have direct access entities. How have you been able to make the choice and that's worked? We've not yet got the accreditation, but we are almost at the end of the procedure. And the central board of National Central Board is from the Ministry of Finance, who is in charge of the implementation of the program of World Bank, which has been confirmed as a structure, very strong structure in terms of management of funds. And that is how we believe that this structure is well positioned to be an entity of direct access. Maybe I don't have the opportunity to say it, but the choice of this structure National Board of Coordination. Will give an idea on the supervision that we need to do when we want to lead an institution. Maybe you see the moderators that are not very active, but you are pushing SECO to become. At times there are some remainder, and it's not moving. So, however, I know that in for the last news, the document have been submitted for the last phase. We went through different stages and going forth and back, and now we are almost at the level of getting the accreditation. Well, thank you for the experience of the GRC. We understand that it is very important in the coordination, but also in the strategic choice of the delivery partners, but also the appointment of direct access entities to be able to interact, to give more room in the commitment engagement with the GCF. You come at the level of the Sierra Leone. From your side, could you share with us in a very brave manner the successes of that contributed to the mobilization of resources at the level of the GCF regarding readiness at the level of Sierra Leone? To lay emphasis on the contribution of the stakeholders. So once the readiness has arrived, how is the implementation done? And this motivated the stakeholder to participate.
Thank you very much. Let me start by thanking the government of the Republic of Togo and Madam Sandra for bringing us here together to share experiences from different countries. From Sierra Leone, I am Alfred, and I'm coming from the NDA institutions. First, let me let you know that NDA in Sierra Leone is not an individual, but it's an institution, and that is the Environment Protection Agency. When it comes to GCF resource sourcing, the NDA takes a lead because it's an institution. So what we've been doing for the past years and to the few success stories we have got from GCF, firstly, we start by mapping out stakeholders, which is really very critical. And we do that one because we really want to identify who is supposed to be part of the process. Just to something like a kind of inception workshops where we identify also inside there those who play critical roles in the development of any concept that has to do with sourcing of funding from GCF. Once that is completed, we do what we call a technical committee that is set up. And it is in this technical committee, firstly, we identify what will be our interests as a country. So this is what we do, we identify projects as a country. Once the project has been identified, we now go to those accredited entities. So we take our ideas to the accredited entities to let them know this is what we want. And whatever is identified at that stage, we make sure that it's in line with the government development agenda. It is part of the NDC. If it is adaptation, it's also in line with our national adaptation plan. This is what we do. So once all those boxes are ticked, we now proceed with the identified accredited entity. In developing a proposal, before I come to implementations, we also hire people who have the expertise to develop GCF proposals, whether it is for a full project, we identify. So we start the process moving forward. And in the process, the NDA is part of the process because one, we are government designated. We identify whether the project we identify is in line with government's national development plan. It's also help to address something within the national adaptation plan or NDCs. Once that is completed, we will now push forward. Once the project is approved by GCF, we get back to the drawing board first need to know who are those who play a critical part in the implementation of those projects. Certainly, I've got one or two success stories with respect to GCF funding, and the project implementation has really been successful in the fact that we have started the process with inclusivity and those that are matters in the project. So for the readiness project, the solar loan got from GCF, it's generally on the Red Plus, because Red Plus really we hadn't the structure before. Well, as I speak, we are now at an advanced stage in setting up the structure. So once that is completed, we are sure that going into Red Plus project will not go there badly. We'll go there with an adequate understanding and structure in going into such business at the end of the day. What happens generally is all the stakeholders identify for that project, we are part of the process, and coordination is key. For a start, it can be challenging because we are starting and we don't have sufficient amounts of resources as a government. Once you bring people together 1 or 2 times without, for example, even serving them water, it becomes challenging. But it requires a persistence lobby, educating them that this is for the benefit of the country before people buy in. So at the end of the day, yesterday, I had a lot of people talking about ownership. Because we start with inclusivity, at the end of the day, the project is around the implementation, see that everyone is on board and everyone will take full ownership. And that has been the success story moving forward in Sierra Leone. I will continue to move in that line because it has shown something good moving forward. Except where we think there are challenges coming, they will also redesign again how and which approach we take moving forward. So far, this is what I'll be able to share with colleagues and everyone here.
Thank you, my brother from Alfred. Thank you, my brother Alfred. Et nous avons bien noté que la coordination joue, mais également l'implication de toutes les parties prenantes. Ça également, c'est vraiment.
And the implication of all the stakeholders are determining key factors in the success of the mobilization of resources. Now, we're going to go to Mali, and there we have also observed that Mali has a direct access entity who has been accredited at the level of GCF, and it is from the original process that this entity has been carried to the accreditation. Can you share with us the process that you've used that people will learn from you as it has been shared by Professor at the level of ERC? You have the floor. Thank you so much, Mr. Grignan. Thank you, organizers and participants here present. I am Abizu Gota from the Ministry of Environment, Sustainable Development of Mali, a department which is in coordination with environmental issues. For the case of Mali, of the ADD, we are at the beginning of a partnership to manage the readiness. This has separate today to have 11 readiness, 7 national readiness, and 4 regionals. So I will share with you the experience on how we have been able to move to this stage in terms of challenges and so on. So in Mali, I think that that's after the organization, the second dialogue of green funds in 2018, governments understood that to be able to mobilize resources, that we needed to go to the NFC, and I will remind the institutional framework. The NDD, which is managing climate issues, since 1998 was there to deal with the whole of the Convention of Rio. From 2018, the government decided to change its services into agencies, into APA. And APA is a public establishment in this administrative work, and just help to manage in our midst to give accountability for higher hierarchy, but all activities are managed at the level of the AGP. And in terms of safeguarding of environment against the laundering of money, so these efforts will get to a PNCA, which has just started at that time through the advice of Ms. Sandra Abishola and brother Sini, who was at that time in Mali. They all contributed, and the authorities understood. We started the steps to get to the MNC, and this has been successful. So the first readiness was with a national NGO, which has worked on the selection of entities that will go to the direct access of resources. And this have helped us. It was led by a national NGO. Can we ask question? So what are the difficulties that you face? Because we're talking about 2018, and it is very recently that the entity has been accredited. So what have been the different challenges that has made the team delay so much before we got the accreditation? In terms of difficulty, the challenges at the beginning, first of all, we put three entities. One entity to represent the civil society, another one to represent the private sector, and the third one for the communities. I must confess that the first entity to accredit did not understand. Some there are people that are skeptical. Even the first bank that we appointed, with whom we drafted a readiness to work, have resigned. So we needed to find other entities, other partners, other entities that were understood our project as a band there, which has not been accredited. It's after that we changed, and then we appointed other banks. So difficulties are very considerable. That it was only the band there that have been accredited. Others at the beginning, they were not really well prepared for, because there are prerequisites to meet, and many of these entities were not ready on different plans. There are many aspects, and once you are not really ready, and okay, you move sometime, you will be removed. So this is what happened to the first entities. But with the case of BND, I'm the one who did the appointment in 2022, and 2 years later, in 2024, they have the accreditation now. You have to acknowledge that this bank had already made the requirements. It has a strategic climate, it has a sub-regional project with agri-field, and many other things. So the requirements are there, prerequisites are there. So when we started the acquisition process, it went very fast. And the authorities of World Bank understood this, and to mobilize the private sector through consultation, through consultants, through these different meetings at the level of the green funds, at the level of the COP, and even at the level of the NGOs. We put everything so that you could get to that. So this is to talk about the specific case of the Bendia. This is very interesting for us. Did you recruit consultants, expect that you put a level of the bank to help them to meet the different requirements of accreditation, or it is only the bank itself that has deployed its resources? No, we have not recruited them directly. It's the bank who recruited, but we contributed to the selection of the consultants, and we went through their courses, their CV together, and every time we call on the bank to meet, every time I always call them, and whenever there are questions that come in, my director will call the director of the bank, his colleague, to tell him to react in the timeline. So we didn't let them sleep. So it has gone very fast. Anyway, you should acknowledge that the NGA has played its role with the support, insurance support, the technical support, and all that was needed. Thank you for this experience. Let's clap for our colleagues from Mali. Now we come back to Togo. Togo, I think you also made some efforts of mobilization of funds of the resources of GCF in the readiness program. But in your intervention, we feel that you still have difficulties in terms of direct access. Can you share with us some of these difficulties? Because this helps also, we are doing a sort of balance of balance sheet of what we've done so far, sort of assessments to see the difficulties that you are going through, to see, not only for the access but also for the implementation of readiness. Uh, so you have the floor, Madam Marie. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for the floor given. You have to notice that at the level of Togo, well, I want to thank also organizers to give us the third time the opportunity to be in this forum to exchange on the process of resources mobilization and the difficulties that we face. So talking about the experience of Togo, you have to acknowledge that Togo also had made much efforts to be able to realize 6 country national readiness for $4,400,000 and 10 regional readiness and currently a regional project of readiness, and the amount is about $138,000. Regarding the process, I want to underline that in terms of good purchases, we should observe the availability and will of the NGA, particularly that of the focal points. As we said it, the NGA is a structure, and in Togo is the direction of the environment. So with the focal points and a team around the focal point. So this what have brought us is the availability and the will, the commitment of the NGA at that time, who really was engaged, and the other members of the team. So there's a matter of motivation. So it's an additional work that we carry out apart from the civil servant that we are. So when you do this work without motivation, without any accompaniment, people are not really motivated. They are not engaged, but especially the youth of now are not motivated to work freely. So we had the opportunity to have an available focal point was ready to help to achieve the projects of Togo. So this Mr. Grenier who is here. So let's clap for him because he had really helped for the effort that he has made, because I took over 2 years ago, and right now we are on one readiness. Fortunately, that we have submitted and we are waiting. So the 6 readiness that I've spoken about, or that we had as a result, is due to his efforts, down to his effort. Thank you for your patriotism. So around the wheel of the NGA, we should say that we consulted the stakeholders, first of all, for the elaboration of country program, and whose needs have been spotted and or sorted out. So it was on this that the readiness was based to respond to these shortcomings and these weaknesses, and to understand the impact, the climate change impacts, and try to accompany the country for the research of solutions. So, as he said it, in every institute, they have the skeptics. One of the most important ministry is the Ministry of Energy. So when you started talking about the questions of issues of climate change, elaboration of impact studies, they say, oh, you environment people, you are worrying us, you are chasing away investors. Well, their sector is the most vulnerable. And now with consultation and sensitizations, they now understand. And it's one of the ministries with which we work, and they help us to meet the commitments of the CDN. So you have this aspect, and we also have the rule of the accredited entity. we don't have a national entity, but we are lucky to got in on a regional entity, okay, from Dakar, who has helped us on all these readiness up to today. As when they understood our difficulties and challenges, they were available and very active to accompany us with their. It's due to their effort that we will be able to got to the results. But there are many difficulties as collaboration with some members, the team of the NGA itself, and for projects, the request of the concept